Yo, what is up, Nemi gang? It's your boy Nemi here with another video, this one dedicated to my Lars gang. So in this video, we are going to talk about Lars' best OKI options revolving around his limited entry stance whilst in heat. So without wasting any of your time, let's get cooking. Okay, so first let's talk about one aspect of how Lars' hit mechanic works. So when Lars is in heat, his limited entry stance gets buffed. So basically his low becomes a hell sweep that does 35 damage and still remains at -12 on block, which is crazy. And the mid variation becomes a natural launcher on normal hit instant screw. Both of these options are very strong. So for this fact, you really want to implement as many limited entry mix-ups as possible whilst in heat, and to do that, of course, we must have some really strong OKI options, because it's not that easy to implement these mix-ups on block. Of course, it all depends on conditioning, but it's much easier to implement these mix-ups off of OKI options than it is in neutral. So let's talk about some of the OKI options that you should use whilst in heat to get the best out of these LE mix-ups. First, let's talk about the classic, the Kazoku special, forward 2 after screw. So you can go into silent entry after forward 2 by pressing forward, and of course you can cancel silent entry to limited entry by holding down. So forward 2, hold forward to go into SE, then cancel SE to go into LE by holding down. So do a BNB combo, boom, get a screw into forward 2, go to SE, then cancel into LE by holding down. This one is a very effective LE mix-up whilst in heat. When it comes to the ground options that the opponent has, recovery kicks won't work. They don't have enough time to recover. The toe kick also won't work. Get up kick won't work. If they wake up mid or they wake up low and you do the low or the mid, they will still get hit. So it's either the opponent stays on the ground or they get off the ground. Those are the two options that the opponent has. Now the bad thing about Lars is he doesn't really have very strong ground options. They took away his stomp in Tekken 8. The stomp was so strong back in Tekken 7 because you could also transition to SE by holding forward. I mean, he still has the stomp, but you can only do it from DE now. So you can get like DE 3+4, then hold forward to go into SE. If Lars still had that, like just from neutral, like press down 3+4 to get the stomp, his OKI would have been way better. You don't really have that strong of grounded options. So the best grounded option you can do here is cancel the LE by tapping up, or like a side step cancel, then do DE2. So forward 3, go to DE, then 2. DE2 hits grounded opponents. Like, this is the best option you have to hit grounded opponents. Of course, you can do LE, you can commit to LE1, which hits grounded as well, but you sacrifice your hit gauge just to do 16 damage on a grounded opponent. That is not worth it. So if you have an idea, if you think the opponent will stay down and want to get up to take the mix-up, then just cancel your mix-up into DE3, right? Hit them grounded. And of course, if you hit them grounded with DE3, you get the flip over. So you can get like a loop. You can keep looping it, right? DE2, get off the floor. DE2. If they get up, boom, DE mix-up, you can go low. That's the idea behind Lars' DE mix-up from, like, you know, off the ground opponents. But of course, this one is like very effective, because if they get up, they have to hit the mix-up. They can't get up with back. They'll still be in range to get hit with the mix-up. If they tech roll, they will still have to get between the low and the mid. So a lot of opponents just tend to stay on the ground. So you should have this cancel to DE2 always readily available, guys. Like, it should be always, you should always be ready, but always test them first, right? Boom, forward 2, cancel into the mix-up, and just see what they do from there. Then make a decision based on what they do the next time you go for an LE or OKI mix-up. The other option you have is moves that take you into SE. So moves like back 3, down back 2, DE1 as well. So these work the same as forward 2 after screw, except you use these for the shorter combos. Mostly combos that start with an instant screw. For example, like DE1+2 has an instant screw, or LE2 itself whilst in heat. So you end the combo with one of these moves, then you go into SE, then cancel SE into LE and go for your mix. Basically, everything I said about forward 2 after screw works the same way for all of these options. It's just different because the combos start in a different way. Even like lightning screw, the combos are very short, so you end your setup with these particular moves, because you can easily go into SE after these moves, then cancel SE into LE, then go for your limited entry mix-up. Another okizeme option you have is by manually going into LE from DE. So I mean forward 3 you cancel into DE, hold forward to cancel DE to SE, then hold down to cancel SE into LE. So to do this we have to use DE2 after screw. So the exact same way forward 2 works is the exact same way the DE setup works as well, except you replace forward 2 after screw with DE2. So DE2 flips them over, face facing down, so they don't have access to get up kicks, they don't have access to the toe kick. What I love about this okizeme setup is that it's a multi-layered mix-up. It's more so an SE mix-up than it is an LE mix-up. It's an LE mix-up if the opponent gets off the ground and respects you. So if you do your juggle, boom, screw, then go for DE2, flip them over, then go from DE into SE. The timing there is like it's a perfect timing for an SE mix-up, right? If they stay on the ground, you can go for SE2, which hits grounded. If they get off the floor, you can get them with the mids, right? 3+4 or 1 or 3 if you are sure they're going to duck to get the launch. They can't press any buttons because SE2 is a counter hit launcher as well. So this is the basis of the mix-up. Like this is the mix-up situation you have from this particular okizeme option. If the opponent knows this, they'll tend to respect you. So they get off the ground and take the guessing game, right? If they decide to stay on the ground, you do have that SE2 of course. But if they do get off the ground, they think you'll be going for that SE mix-up. So if they respect you, that is a perfect time to cancel SE into LE and go for your LE mix-up. So again, it's all about conditioning and it's multi-layered. That's why I really love this one. It's my favorite amongst all of them so far. It's multi-layered because you have the SE mix-up and the LE mix-up as a second layer to your SE mix-up. I really hope I'm making sense because this is very strong. I really hope you implement this, guys. It's so good. It's really, really good because unlike committing to LE1 when the opponent is on the ground, like LE1 or LE2, like despite hitting grounded, you still waste your hit gauge just to get off like 16 damage off the ground, which is not worth it. But with this particular okizeme setup, you do have SE2 which hits grounded and you don't waste any hit whatsoever. And if you hit grounded, you can still go in with another SE mix-up because you're still off the ground, right? So very, very strong. And of course, like I said, they get off the ground. If they respect you, boom, surprise them, cancel that SE into LE, then get the mix-up off of that as well. So it's a very, very strong setup again. Implement this as much as you can. As for his wall options, you don't really have much, to be honest with you. What you're going to be using a lot is down back 2. So down back 2 to SE, then cancel SE into LE. So basically get a wall splat into screw, into down forward 1, into down back 2, then cancel to SE into LE. If you've done too many hits after the screw, then just go for down back 2 immediately, then go for your LE mix-up. Now this one isn't really that strong because if the opponent decides to roll on the ground and you commit to cancelling SE into LE, you have to go for your LE options because unlike Wallace on a Wallace stage, the opponent has enough time to take roll, so to roll on the ground and get up in time to block if you do cancel. So you cancel to DE2 to hit them grounded, they do have enough time to recover, so you have to commit to hitting your opponent with an LE move, either the low or the mid, because they both hit grounded. So I don't really think it's worth it because it's only 16 damage and you lose out on ward damage to go for this okizeme setup. So as an opponent, I do think it's worth just staying on the ground every single time, but it's still an option for a Lars player. So if you want to decide to go for the mix-up, then it's all up to you. But we do have another option that gives us better layers, which is forward 1, 2, 3. So this can take us into DE by holding down afterwards. So there's some really good layers, right? Get a wall splat, get a screw, then do forward 1, 2, 3 into DE. So if they decide to stay on the ground, you have DE2, of course, which hits grounded. If they get off the floor, you can do DE3. So now they wake up into +5, right? Because DE3 is that big busted ass +5 mid. So they stay on the ground, you have the mid, DE2, they get off the ground, you have the other mid, which is +5. So now they wake up into an SE mix-up. So if they tend to respect you a lot after DE3, of course a +5 mid, you can now cancel DE into LE, then go for your LE mix-up whilst in hit. If they don't respect you, then just go for DE3 into SE1, right? and the wall is right behind them, so you have the chance to actually get a wall splat off of this. You can also go for SE2 after DE3. For the low, they press buttons, they can still get countered. So it's a very strong setup. This one is my favorite to use at the wall. If you watched a lot of my last videos, you've seen me do this quite often because of the layers. So again, it's about conditioning. Are they respecting you after DE3? Then cancel into LE and go for that mix up instead. Are they mashing buttons? Go for DE3 into SE1 to get the wall splat and into more mix up situations. So it is amazing. It's good, like it's really strong, but it all depends on the reaction time, guys. You have to notice if the opponent decides to stay on the ground or get off the ground, then go from there. So there you have it, guys. Just some quick tips on how you can efficiently maximize Lars' LE mix-ups whilst in heat. I know there hasn't been a ton of Lars content on my channel recently. Don't get the wrong idea, I still love this character. He is still one of my mains. It's just difficult to just juggle a bunch of characters. You know, if you main so many characters, people want to see content for all those characters. So I still love my boy and I still have more content coming for Lars. So if you enjoyed this video and learned something, do consider liking, subscribing and sharing if you can. As usual, thank you so much for the support. May the frame data be ever in your favor. GG.